Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something called the myth of the millionaire midlife trap. So picture this for a second. It's 11 p.m. on a Tuesday, you're 45 years old, and honestly, you feel entirely broke. But here's the really crazy part. You are currently earning the biggest paychecks of your entire life. If you've ever felt this completely bizarre disconnect, you are absolutely not alone, and you're in exactly the right place today. So, it begs a massive question, doesn't it? Why exactly do your peak earning years feel so incredibly broke? Well, right out of the gate, I want to clarify something important. You aren't failing. You haven't done something fundamentally wrong. You are simply caught in a trap that was mathematically designed to catch you exactly when you're quote-unquote winning. To really get how this trap works, let's talk about Thomas. Thomas is 45. He's standing in his kitchen in sweatpants, just staring at a cold cup of coffee. Sitting on the counter, right next to his microwave, is an unopened 401k statement, a mortgage with 22 years left on it, and a frankly terrifying Parent Plus loan statement. Culturally speaking, Thomas is supposed to be right in the middle of his peak earning years era. But instead, he's doing what millions of Americans are doing this morning, trying to figure out if he is the failure. Okay, let's dive into this. Because while Thomas is sipping that awful cold coffee, he's scrolling on his phone and spots a headline that claims the average American in his mid-40s has a net worth of almost $1 million. Thomas looks around his kitchen, knows for a fact he doesn't have $1 million, and just assumes he's failing. But here is the fascinating reality for Thomas, and maybe for you too. The data shows that headline number is a complete, mathematically laundered lie. The truth actually lies in the massive difference between average and median. See, according to the Federal Reserve, the average household net worth for someone Thomas's age is indeed $975,800. But look at the median, the actual real person standing right in the middle of the pack. That number is only $247,200. That's a staggering gap of nearly $730,000. Think about it like this. If you put Jeff Bezos in a room with 9 broke guys, the average net worth in that room is billions of dollars. But that sky-high average doesn't exactly help those 9 guys pay their rent, does it? And honestly, it gets worse because even that median number is kind of a mirage. For the typical 45-year-old, roughly 70% of their net worth is locked entirely inside their house, something we often call drywall wealth. Thomas cannot pay his electric bill with home equity. If he actually wants to turn that drywall wealth into usable cash, his only real options are operating his entire family to sell his home or taking out a home equity line of credit at a 9% interest rate just to borrow his own money. So the really crucial point here is what happens when we do the math and strip away the house. $87,000. When you remove that illiquid drywall wealth, the median 45-year-old is left with about $87,000 total. And remember, that 87 grand isn't just some fun slush fund. That has to cover retirement, unexpected medical emergencies, and college money combined. Suddenly, Thomas isn't looking like a failure at all. He's looking exactly like everyone else. So why does this specific era of life feel structurally so heavy? Well, the answer lies in what researchers call the triple generation tax. Thomas has, completely unknowingly, become the primary financial shock absorber for his entire family tree. He has officially entered the sandwich generation. The numbers on this are just staggering. Over 54% of Americans in their 40s find themselves supporting an aging parent while simultaneously raising kids or helping out their adult children. Thomas is literally paying for 3 generations out of one single paycheck. He's desperately trying to balance his own future retirement with his family's immediate demands. And spoiler alert, it is structurally impossible to max out a 401k while covering memory care for your mom and travel soccer for your daughter. Let's put a real hard number on that pressure. $6,200. That is the actual monthly cost of Thomas's mother's assisted living facility right now. And here's the real kicker. Medicare doesn't touch that bill, not a dime. So Thomas and his sister are forced to split it. Every single month she is in that facility, his future inheritance shrinks by exactly this amount. He isn't doing anything wrong. It is just math, not a character flaw. And as if the top of that sandwich wasn't heavy enough, let's look at the bottom. Thomas's older son recently had his apartment lease end, and he had to move right back into his childhood bedroom. Why? Because the entry-level housing market out there right now is an absolute ghost town. So you know the drill. The grocery bills go up, the utilities go up, and the financial strain on Thomas's single paycheck stretches even further. Now, I want to step away from the budget spreadsheet for a moment, because the actual cost of this trap isn't just financial, it's a neurological toll. This constant grinding financial drain causes what researchers call a massive bandwidth tax. Which brings us to cognitive load. This is the neurological strain, the sheer mental bandwidth that gets occupied by financial scarcity and debt anxiety. When Thomas is lying awake at 2 a.m. staring at the ceiling doing mental arithmetic on that Parent Plus loan with a 9.08% interest rate, his brain is working in absolute overdrive. Functionally, running those anxious midnight calculations is the biological equivalent of a completely lost night of sleep. And this brings up a wild, real-world consequence. 13. The staggering fact here is that this bandwidth tax, this constant background hum of financial anxiety, functionally costs you roughly 13 IQ points in your day-to-day decision-making. You are navigating your absolute peak career years, literally handicapped by the cognitive load of the midlife trap. Of course, society tells Thomas the way to cope is with status symbols, right? To signal his success with a brand new SUV or some elaborate kitchen renovation. But let's be real, those are often just monthly subscriptions to past bad decisions. In fact, did you know 86% of luxury cars on the road today are actually driven by non-millionaires? True wealth looks incredibly boring. It looks like paid-off Toyotas. It looks like quietly moving money into brokerage accounts that don't have a chrome grille you can shine. We have to completely redefine what wealth actually is. True wealth is not a high salary, period. Wealth is simply the margin between your earnings and your lifestyle. The day you actually feel rich isn't the day you get a massive promotion and your paycheck gets bigger. The day you feel rich is the first Tuesday you sit down with your coffee and realize your expenses didn't grow as fast as your income did. It's all about the space in between. Now, take a deep breath because here is the genuinely exciting part when we really look at the numbers. Thomas, and honestly probably you too, still has a massive 20-year compounding window left before retirement. The absolute worst, most destructive thing you can do at 45 is look at the math and decide that it's too late. I promise you, it is not too late. Let's walk through the exact steps Thomas took to stop pretending and start actually building. Step 1, he bumped up his 401k contribution. Step 2, he automated his savings, so his financially fatigued brain didn't even get the chance to spend it. Step 3, he completely stopped checking his neighbors' driveways to see what cars they were buying. And here's why this matters. Mathematically, saving just an extra $700 a month, starting today at age 45, can comfortably grow to over $380,000 by the time he retires. Because at the end of the day, we have to remember what it is we are actually buying. The goal isn't the shiny truck in the driveway. The true goal is optionality. It's the breathtaking power to be able to look your boss in the eye and say no. And it's the ultimate freedom to walk through literally any door you choose. It all boils down to this one incredibly powerful idea. Stop being the engine of your own debt. Start being the engine of your own freedom. You have the power to shift that momentum, and you can start doing it right now, today. So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Will you choose to keep running in place, constantly buying subscriptions to someone else's idea of success? Or will you embrace the margin, claim back your cognitive bandwidth, and build your own actual freedom? If you want to stop running in place and start truly understanding the systems around you, hit that subscribe button right now. I will see you in the next explainer.